No way. A poor guy using his paid vacation to stay in such a luxury hotel. You don't know your place.
Boss, why are you here? Having been transferred to a new department, the new boss subjected me to unreasonable demands for overtime work, leaving me exhausted every day. However, I managed to book a reservation at a luxury hotel for my sick mom's birthday, a place filled with memories of my late dad. It was a hard-won paid vacation. As my mom and I arrived at the hotel, we were unexpectedly greeted by the unpleasant sight of my boss.
I overheard some folks in the department talking. I had business in this area, so I decided to see the shameless face of someone who takes time off during busy periods.
Did you come all the way here?
Yes, a loser taking time off like a normal person to travel with his mom. That's hilarious. You are mommy's boy who can't stay away from your mommy, huh? I thought I'd come to see the face of such a worthless man's mom. And in front of her, I plan to hand you your termination notice.
As I stood in shock, my mom, who had just finished using the restroom, appeared behind my boss.
Oh, this gentleman must be the boss. My son always mentions how much he's under your care.
Oh, you're the mom of the loser, aren't you?
The boss didn't know. He began to tremble when he saw that my mom's eyes were not smiling at all, and that he found out who she was. I am John Roberts, working for a major corporate group. Currently assigned to the sales department, I have a busy schedule, but enjoy fulfilling days with my colleagues. My dad passed away from illness when I was still young. Losing our breadwinner, my mom initially spent her days crying, but eventually took up work in place of my dad. Naturally, she became busier than ever. Even as a child, I understood how hard my mom worked. My mom came home just before I went to bed every day, and I put up with the feeling of being spoiled by her tired face. The helper took care of my meal and personal needs, but she often called me a patient and quiet child. Due to her busy schedule, my mom could never attend school events. My mom didn't come to the kindergarten's parents' day, the school's open day, and the sports day at my elementary school. Though I felt lonely, I never expressed these feelings to my mom. At the sports day, while my friends' families gathered together, I always ate my cold lunch alone.
Your mom couldn't make it again today. She should take a break from work for her child's big moments.
Even when friends' parents made such remarks, I replied, "It's okay. I told her not to push herself because she's busy with work." I was told sarcastically, "Well, you're quite mature for saying that. Children should be more spoiled, right? It's kind of a pity that you can't do that." Every family has its circumstances, yet some people blatantly pry into others' affairs. I couldn't understand it back then. Perhaps they pitied me as the poor child, wanting to feel their family was happier. I detested being subjected to such pitying looks at every school event. So, I put on a brave front. It's okay if my parents can't come. I'm not lonely. This attitude probably made me seem less childlike. My mom always apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, I can't make it. I'll try to arrange my work so I can attend next time." But I didn't want her to strain herself just for school events, knowing she was already exhausted from work. I was aware of how hard she worked for me, so I tried not to trouble her and focused on my studies. And I studied hard to make my mom happy. Ultimately, I was admitted to a prestigious private university on my first attempt. The university aimed to nurture globally minded individuals, emphasizing language skills and flexible thinking. Thanks to this, I believe I've become able to view things from a broader perspective. After graduating, I joined a company within a large corporate group. I didn't have a strong desire for promotion, and I wanted to experience various departments as an employee. At an age when holding managerial positions like supervisor or department head wouldn't be strange, I've always chosen to transfer whenever promotion talks came up, moving from one department to another. Learning about the various types of work, the people in different departments, and how everything was interconnected was enjoyable. Each time I made a transfer request, I was flattered by comments telling me how much they wished I would stay.
What? Sean, are you moving to another department? Did my comment about wanting you to become a department head upset you? If so, it's totally fine to stay on the same level. Just stay with us.
That's right. If you leave, our department is going to have a tough time. If you're worried about the workload, I'll work harder. So please don't go.
I'm very happy that everyone says so. I love this place too. But as pretentious as it might sound, I want to learn about all different kinds of work. So I thanked everyone. I felt guilty for causing such a fuss every time I submitted a transfer request. Despite the reluctance to leave, I continued to move from one department to the next. By the time I turned 30, I was assigned to the sales department. 2 years have passed since I came to this department. Then, I heard that a new department head was coming. This new boss, the same age as me, was the president's son, a so-called nepotism hire. I didn't mind the nepotism, but I heard he was quite assertive and not very popular in his previous department. I liked the atmosphere of our current workplace and hoped it wouldn't change. Unfortunately, my worries were confirmed. The new department head, named Eric Fumpson, was the eldest son of President Fumpson of our company. Although President Fumpson was strict with work, he was never arrogant. In contrast, Eric's attitude was terrible. On his first day, Eric announced loudly in front of everyone in the sales department,
I came here to make this department the top performer in the company's history, and to boost the company's success. There's only value in increasing sales. Anyone whose sales drop from the previous month will be immediately moved elsewhere. I have no use for those without motivation in this department.
Everyone exchanged glances, and Eric, noticing me, pointed and added his sarcastic comment.
Especially those without ambition are out of the question. Being satisfied with current sales figures means you don't belong here. Aim to double the number of new contracts from last month. Participation in competitions should be more than doubled. Anyone who can't follow my orders will be fired on the spot.
From that moment, our overtime hell began. No matter how much we sped up our work, the endless stream of additional tasks meant none of us could leave on time. In addition, no matter how much you work, we won't be paid overtime. It's so-called unpaid overtime. Everyone was understandably frustrated. I came in early and worked through lunch without much of a break. When I tried to leave just after the official end of the workday, Eric quickly spotted me and made a snide remark.
Are you planning to leave while everyone else is still working? Not finishing work is a collective responsibility. If you're done early, it's only natural to help the others.
In the end, I couldn't leave early. There was a reason I wanted to leave early. My mom, who had been overworking for years, collapsed last month. She was diagnosed with leukemia, a type of blood cancer, at the hospital. Basically, it's a cancer of the blood. She was given a year to live and is now hospitalized. Visiting hours end at 8 p.m., and I need to leave by 7 p.m. to see her. I wanted to visit her at least once a week, so I explained my situation to Eric, hoping to leave work early. However, my request was denied.
If you want to prioritize taking care of your parent, you might as well quit right now.
Stunned by his merciless words, I held back from arguing. But I knew if I got in the same boat with him, I was finished, so I held my ground. Mom, how are you feeling? I was planning to visit today, but I couldn't get away from work. I'm sorry. I'll try to at least bring you some food later. I apologized to her through a message. Suddenly, I remembered the loneliness of not having my mom at school events because she was too busy with work. What am I doing? I'm doing the same thing to my mom. The realization filled me with guilt. God, was my mom feeling the same way back then? I want to go see you, but I can't. It's not just the one who isn't visited who feels lonely. The one who can't visit feels just as lonely. I realized that. Additionally, my mom is currently tormented by a severe illness, so she must feel even more helpless than I did back then. Yet, what am I doing? I became incredibly ashamed of myself. Probably because I was thinking such things, I must have had a very dark expression on my face. The colleague who caused me to stay late looked at me apologetically.
John, I'm sorry.
It's all right. We're both busy after all.
Really, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you sometime.
Oh, I'll be looking forward to it. As we bantered lightly, we continued with our work. Then, the boss who had been loudly directing us had disappeared at some point.
When did the boss leave? Unbelievable.
Seriously, he dumps so much work on us, and then just leisurely goes home.
This job seems like something the boss forced into existence, doesn't it? It's unbelievable.
How long will these days soaked in work continue? It may be about time I requested a transfer to a different department.
As soon as the boss was out of sight, everyone in the staff room, staying late for work, began to speak ill of him. Well, I feel the same, but let's take this opportunity to review the workflow and distribute the tasks for better efficiency. Anyway, we can't go home until we finish the work.
Yes, let's keep going.
Then, everyone started discussing their areas of expertise, advancing a division of labor so that each could handle the parts they were best at. As a result, work progressed much more than expected, and we were able to finish much earlier than anticipated.
Yay, it's done.
Phew, now I can finally go home. I really want to take a shower.
John, thanks a lot. If you hadn't suggested optimizing our work, we might still be only halfway done by now.
Amidst everyone's joy, I opened up about my mom being hospitalized due to illness. I then asked them that I wanted to take a day off.
That's tough. Sure, let's help you out.
Of course. You've been taking care of us all this time. How could we not return the favor now?
Everyone. In fact, I had booked a reservation at a luxury hotel where I used to stay often with my dad when I was young for my mom's upcoming birthday. I desperately wanted to spend time with my mom, who had only a short time left in that memorable hotel. The doctor in charge of my mom was somewhat reluctant to allow her to stay overnight outside, but permitted it on the condition that she stays in a room with proper air conditioning and avoids contact with an unspecified number of people. I resolved myself and applied for paid time off to my boss. Then he said, a low-level employee using paid day off, you must be living the high life. I was taken aback. But, well, you've been working hard lately. Go take a break for once. My application was surprisingly accepted smoothly, and I was able to take the time off.
John, it's finally tomorrow. Do some good for your mom, huh? And you blow off your daily fatigue.
Sure thing. Leave everything else to me.
Take care on your trip.
My colleagues sent me off, and I headed to a hotel in the suburbs of New York with my mom.
Wow, this hotel brings back memories. It hasn't changed much from back then.
My mom happily looked around the hotel. My face naturally broke into a smile. Come to think of it, it had been years since I took a trip with just my mom. I regretted that I should have traveled to many places with her earlier. While my mom went to the restroom, I sat in a chair in the lobby, leisurely viewing the hotel garden. Then, a familiar voice echoed. Yes, it was Thompson, my boss.
No way. A poor man staying at such a luxury hotel. Talk about not knowing your place.
Boss, why are you here?
I overheard the guys in the department talking. I just happen to have business in this area, so I thought I'd come and see your face.
Going out of your way for this?
Yay. It's part of the job. It's the job of cleaning out the company's dead wood.
I felt the blood drain from my entire body.
You're incompetent, so you've been passed around departments for years, haven't you? To not have any position at your age, you are useless, cuh. And now, a deadbeat like you taking leave like any regular Joe to go on a trip with your mom, that's laughable. You are still a mama's boy, unable to detach from mommy. I wanted to see the face of the mom who raised such a failure, and in front of her, I'd serve you your termination notice. Oh, I can't wait to see the shock and panic on your faces.
As I stood there, stunned by his words, my mom, having finished in the restroom, somehow appeared behind the boss. Mom. Then, the boss, seeing my mom, grinned and said,
Oh, you're the mom of the loser, aren't you?
With a smile that didn't reach her eyes, my mom responded to my boss's sarcasm. Oh, are you my son's boss? It seems my son, John, has been under your care quite a bit, hasn't he? My mother is pretending to be smiling, but her eyes are not smiling. Yes, my mom was very angry.
It seems you're under some misunderstanding, so let me clarify. My son has been requesting department transfers voluntarily. After all, he's my son. It's only right he gets a grasp of the entire company structure now.
What are you talking about, old lady? Sick in the head from your illness?
I could tell by my mom's expression that the boss Thompson had stepped on a landmine. My mom despises this type of unreasonable person.
I heard you're Mr. Thompson's son, but you're quite rude, aren't you? Hey John, could you please call Mr. Thompson over here?
My dad's the company president. A mere employee like you can't just summon him.
Oh, but your company falls under our umbrella. Leaving such a rude manager unchecked, we must provide proper guidance, shouldn't we?
Yes, that's right. In fact, my mom is the CEO and chairperson of the Roberts Group, which owns a large corporation. My mom was a top career woman in her youth before marrying my dad, the company president. Initially, the company was stable, but after the bubble burst, it began to falter. My dad tried to revive the company, but passed away suddenly from illness due to overwork. However, my mom was the one who turned it around. Thanks to her efforts, our company saw rapid growth. Stock prices soared, and we opened many branches, eventually growing into a large corporate group. Honestly, I can't think of anyone who can match my mom's managerial skills.
Roberts. You're not possibly from the Roberts Group.
Yes, I'm May Roberts, the chairperson of the Roberts Group.
That's ridiculous.
And to add, John is a member of the Roberts Group's board. The future of your company could be decided by his word.
What? No way.
In the quiet hotel lobby, Thompson's foolish voice echoed,
You may be working hard for the company, but that's not good, is it? A lifetime ago, you might still have passed, but now the times are different. What you're doing is a violation of labor laws. Imagine if your employees become ill from overwork and can't return home. Have you considered how their families would feel?
I understand that, but you can't increase company sales with just ideals. You're out of touch with the field, so that you can speak such idealistic nonsense.
The boss objected to my mom, but unpaid overtime is forbidden nowadays, and overtime hours are strictly regulated. If an employee falls ill from the company's unreasonable overtime directives and it's treated as a work-related accident, the Labor Standards Inspection Office would get involved. That he could call himself a boss without knowing such basics was beyond me. Probably a connection higher, hence not studying the essentials needed for management.
I understand your perspective. I'll report this to the president. Of course, your treatment will also be thoroughly reviewed.
Wait, hold on a minute.
Why? You must take responsibility for the words you utter. Didn't you learn that in management training? Plus, you're not cut out to be a boss. A person fit to be a boss should properly understand their subordinates' movements and work content. Besides, you've said and done a lot of things that are harassing, right? I wouldn't trust someone like that with an important department.
No way.
The boss, apparently despondent, dropped his shoulders and left the hotel lobby. Even though he was swearing at me in front of my mom and begging to be fired, he seems to have received dozens of times more retribution. I do feel a tad sorry for him, but he reaped what he sowed. He should properly face the consequences. Afterwards, my mom and I enjoyed some quality time together, just the two of us. She reminisced about the lake she used to visit with my dad and shared various memories. She also mentioned that should anything happen to her, she wants me to take over. I have reservations about being the chairman of big group company, but it's a place my mom expanded, continuing my dad's legacy. I've resolved to do all I can. Upon returning my mom to the hospital, we encountered our company's president, Thompson, and his son, my boss. When they greeted my mom, they apologized for their disrespect.
Chairwoman Roberts, despite not knowing, my son has been extremely disrespectful. We deeply apologize.
My boss joined in.
I have been incredibly disrespectful to both you, Chairwoman, and John. I am truly sorry.
My boss shared that being the president's son meant he was often looked down upon as just the president's kid or just a nepotism hire, striving desperately to prove them wrong. In his seal, he admitted to having lost sight of what was truly important.
Mr. Thompson, you see, after my husband passed away, I took over as president of a nearly bankrupt company. What can a woman do? Or she's too arrogant for a female president. I've been told harsh things by employees and business partners alike. I even had a trusted employee run off with the company's earnings. So I became determined not to lose, working tirelessly. Although the company survived, it came at the cost of making my son feel lonely. It's not just about sales. Creating a comfortable working environment for our employees is crucial. Efficient work requires family support, right? Always remember, behind every employee is our family. The real essence of a company is the happiness of its employees and their families.
You're right, Chairwoman Roberts. I thought I was facing my employees with the same sentiment, but my son misunderstood. His actions are my responsibility as well. We've decided to relieve the boss of his duties and send him to a subsidiary to relearn everything from scratch.
That might be for the best. John has been moving through departments without revealing he's my kin, right? I recommend this approach. Let him see how far he can go on his merit in places where his title won't help him.
So, he is the famous John Roberts. I was curious about the person who is sought after by many departments. To think he's the chairwoman's son. Impressive indeed.
As the president praised me, Boss Thompson looked contrite.
Listen, Eric, I recognize your passion. From now on, don't worry about how others see you, and do what you believe in. You'll start to see things differently.
Thank you for your kind words, even to someone like me. I'll change my attitude and strive to meet your expectations, Chairwoman.
I'm looking forward to it.
Mr. Thompson and his son greeted my mom and left the hospital room. Hey, Mom.
What is it?
I was really happy.
What?
You said I was a bother, but I was truly happy having you. I know all you've done for me, even in your busy schedule, and how you've always cared for me. I'm happy to be your son.
Oh, thank you.
My mom quietly shed tears. If you could live even a little longer, I could be even happier. So please, Mom, try to live a long life.
Yes, I want to do so many more things with you, John. I'll do my best.
I held my mom's hand, praying earnestly that our wishes would come true. And even if they didn't, I hoped for my mom to spend her remaining time in peace, without suffering. And our prayers were answered. A few days later, we received a call from the bone marrow bank that a matching donor for my mom had been found. Thanks to this, my mom, who was told she had only 1 year to live, was successfully miraculously recovered. Watching my mom regain her strength day by day, I couldn't help but shed tears of joy.
Just like you said, John, I'll live a long life. So you have to be happy too, okay?
Yay, of course. My mom successfully left the hospital and has now fully returned to her duties as chairwoman. According to her, she can't leave everything to me just yet. As for me, influenced by my mom, I'm now the boss of human resources. This is to fulfill my mom's wish that the company look at its employees from a broad perspective and eventually make its employees and their families happy. I'm working hard to improve the company's welfare and create an environment where employees can work easily. My former boss, who was transferred to a branch office, has been working hard with his new mind. He must have been overwhelmed by the pressure of being the president's son. I'd like to work with him, who grew out of his shell someday. Work is an essential part of life, taking up a third of one's existence. Rather than mindlessly enduring a job you hate, it would be great if the time spent at the company could be a meaningful social life, including communication and learning with others. When I say things like this, I'm often accused of spouting idealistic nonsense and ignoring the company's profits. But someday, this approach will benefit the entire company. One's happiness cannot be bought by career or money. Feeling needed, receiving praise, and finding fulfillment in your work motivates someone to strive positively. I aim to continue striving to create the kind of company my mom envisions, where working feels like a source of happiness,